Well, hello everybody. Travels with Dottie, and we are headed into town. Um, we're trying to get out of here to weave through all these people standing in camp with their dogs. We're headed into town, and we're gonna stop at La Posa West first and drop off some trash. And then we're gonna go and fill up some propane at Patty's Propane on East Main Street. Then we're gonna go by the dollar store. You know what? All this time here, there's the Dollar General and Family Dollar, and I get them mixed up, but you'll see the sign when we get there. Hopefully the audio would be a little bit better. I took my new case off, and so that was the problem with the audio on the last time when we were driving in the car. And I had to buy a little extension for my microphone receiver, and that'll be here in a couple of weeks. In the meantime, I got to be super careful with my phone in here when it's not in the case. It's really funny that we buy these $1,000, $1,500 phones that are really glass. They're big chunks of very expensive glass. It's crazy when you think about it. And they have all kinds of glass that's supposed to be resistant to dropping, but people still shatter their phones all the time. And if you don't buy the insurance, it's very expensive to have glass repaired. It's horrible. So that is part of living in this time, in this day and age. But the case I got was beautiful because it encased both sides. I don't have to, this thing where you buy the screen protectors where you peel the thing off and press the bubbles out. I can't ever get it right. I always end up with huge bubbles and not being able to press things. It's just so frustrating. Well, this case just had, a protector built into the case, and it was waterproof. But the receiver device for this microphone here, this is the microphone. I'll show it to you that I'm using. It's a really cool device. And the receiver plugs into where, you would plug in to charge the phone. Well, it just won't fit in there snugly with the new case. And so as you go down the road, it gets loose. And it just doesn't go all the way in, and it wasn't working. So I thought I was using this on the last driving video. I was just using the internal mic. The internal mic on these phones don't work at all. Not at all, but they're terrible if there's any background noise, like road noise. So I have to get a little extension that's, on Quartzsite, if you order from Amazon, I don't know if those of you in big cities are used to getting the stuff the next day or sometimes even the same day. Well, it's at least a week for almost anything you order on Amazon out here, so I won't have those things. And genius that I am, I took like an X-Acto knife to the phone, thinking I could, cut out a little bit of it so the thing would sit in there. Well, all I served to do was ruin the new phone case, so I had to order a new phone case. Let's see what else is going on. My hot water heater's not working, so I've been bragging that nothing's ever broken in my rig, and I keep literally forgetting about the fact that I've had on and off again hot water heater problems from day one, really. And it used to be that I think at high elevations it would work great, low elevations it wouldn't. And there's a way to adjust the air mixture on every water heater I've ever seen except for mine. Mine has the tube, but there's no place to adjust it. So Tim helped me out. We just put some tape over part of it, and it started flowing really nicely. And now it won't work at all. It won't ignite, and you're not even hearing the clicking when it ignites, which means the control board burned out. And I did buy a new control board, and it's very easy to install. And because I don't use hot water that much, I haven't gotten around to it. So maybe I'll get to it this afternoon. But right now it is Thursday. We're just at Cellarama. Starts tomorrow, and that's all the new vendors and things out by where the big tent is. Then the big tent itself will open. Grand opening will be Saturday morning. That's the 20th, and that's when things will get really crazy. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to Patty's. And oh yes, Dottie's with me. She's in the co-pilot seat. As usual, wondering, Dad, who are you talking to? I'm only hearing one voice. Are you talking to yourself? And here we go to go over the I-10 to go into the great crossroads of Quartzsite, which is Central and Main Street. Someone was saying, well, go to that stoplight. Someone said the second stoplight or something. There's no second stoplight. There's one stoplight. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe there's one at the other end of town or something I'm not really aware of, but this is the only stoplight I'm aware of. And it's at Central and Main. And people get confused sometimes because Central is the same as 95. 95 runs from Yuma up through Quartzsite, and you keep going north here, you'll be in Parker, Arizona. And it's called 95 the whole way, but in town it's called Central. Central Boulevard. And this is Main Street in front of us. Runs east to west, west to east. And many, many of the amenities are on Main Street that you will find here. And at the moment, because we're so close to the big show, every used to be vacant corner is covered with Class A RVs that are for sale. Yeah, I can see some brand names. I can't. But the ones to the right here, I can't see the brand names, but I can see prices. $300,000. And here we go. We got a green light. We're sort of going a little bit. Like I said, patience pays off in Quartzsite this week. Pays off big. Patience pays off. Could really use some of my own advice and exercise some patience myself. I've been, if you've been following me, I presented at the Rubber Tramp Rendezvous yesterday, and I was pretty nervous about doing it. And it created some anxiety for me. I got through it. I enjoyed it once I started doing it. And had some family semi-emergency come up. There were multiple requests of my time this past couple of days, and I had to remind myself to take a deep breath, slow down, do one thing at a time, and remember to take care of yourself. And here we are at Patty's Propane. There's no line on the car side. got two 20-pounders in the back.
Okay, we can't wait to fill them up.
All right.
Have you pull up a little more?
Yep.
He's got 220 miles.
Oh, you got the photo.
Is that good?
Yeah, that's fine. Just take them out, you know. What's that?
All right, guys, we got our, for about $30, we got our two 20-pound tanks. And we're gonna try to shoot across the street here to the Family Dollar. Let's see how traffic supports us here. And I'll take you in the Family Dollar and we'll go through my grocery list. How's that sound? So I'll see you in the store. And here we are. It's the Family Dollar on East, so Dollar General is going to be on the west side. We've got our grocery list. Not a too big a list. Not big at all. All right. Cat food. There's some water. Get that water. Do a smaller one today. All right. Sweet and spicy trail mix. That looks kind of interesting. Let's try that. And I didn't think I'd have tortillas here, but I was wrong. There are tortillas here. I didn't even have it on the list because I didn't think it would be here. And then peanut butter is right here. Right there. And I think the dog stuff is pretty. Dog food behind us. Not that it's dog food we're looking for cat food, but it's bound to be next to the dog food. Maybe a treat for Dottie. She likes these things. Let's chew on them. All right, we found the cat fur. We ran into a subscriber that didn't really want to be on the channel. So we turned it off and I turned it back on. In the meantime, before I turned it back on, I found the cat food for George. And I see some Bounty here. You know, I wish I could buy real big supplies of paper towels, but I got nowhere to put them. And we're right at garbage bags, and we gotta make sure we get the big ones, the big ones. These are strong, and they are 30 gallon. That's what I need. So let's see what I'm still missing. So we got cat food, paper towels, garbage bags, peanut butter, tortillas, cat food, and water. And the propane. Does that mean we have everything? That doesn't seem right. So I guess we're gonna sneak over here and see what they have in the frozen foods. I do like to cook, but I also like little frozen things that I can do quickly, and these are really, really good. These, they're called Fast Bites. They're $1.35 a piece, and I like the chicken ones. You know, I'm a big hamburger and cheeseburger lover, but these they're not as good. They're not as good. So So we're gonna buy 4 of these just to have in the freezer when we're a little too tired sometimes to cook. So I think we are good and we're in line. All right. I always like to take the carts back in the store because this time of year especially, because these guys, they work hard enough trying to keep those shelves filled and the lines going. Whoa.
Thank you.
Get that trash out of there. I'm pretty sure I know where the trash barrel is by my car. One other thing that happened today is I got a text message and it says, "Your bill is ready." And usually that kind of thing is some kind of scam. But I'll tell you what it was when I get back in the truck and switch back to the phone. Okay, I am back in the car. Give me a second here to maneuver safely. So there aren't any cars or people in the parking lot here. So I was saying I got this text that says your bill is ready, and usually that's some kind of scam, but I look more carefully at it. It says your hospital bill is ready. I'm like, ooh, this could be a thing for me because, let me adjust this a little bit. Just a little bit. There. A little better. I have been expecting a hospital bill from September, and if you haven't been watching a long time or watching a lot of videos, you wouldn't know the story, so I'm going to tell the story again. I was in Elephant Butte State Park in New Mexico, and I believe it was in September. And it was a beautiful place. It's outside of a town called Truth or Consequences, New Mexico. And very desert-like. It was very hot and very dry. And there's a little bit of backstory to this. I'm sorry, I'm just adjusting again. And as I'm telling the story, I'm going to take you through Kuhn Street in Tyson Wells, just because it's such a busy day, and I thought you'd enjoy seeing all the people and stuff and activity down there. It's kind of exciting. So we'll do that. We'll go out and we'll find a place to turn around and go back to it. So we'll go through twice so you can see it. So a little background is that after my dad had a heart attack when he was, in his late 60s, early 70s, I think. And my doctor said, since you have a family history, I want you to take 1 baby aspirin a day forever. So I'd been taking a baby aspirin a day that whole decades, right? And it's a blood thinner. And you know, in conventional wisdom then was, if you're at any kind of risk for cardiovascular events, take a baby aspirin every day. And now conventional wisdom isn't that, but I didn't know that. So years and years and a couple decades of taking one baby aspirin a day, I'm thinking my blood maybe was a little thinner than normal. But anyway, at about midnight, I woke up, nose is dripping, I turn on the lights, blood. I got a bloody nose, no big deal. I was a paramedic. I don't panic with nosebleeds. I know how to stop a nosebleed. You don't, your instinct is tilt your head back. No, you pinch, right, and you lean forward. In 10 minutes you do it. Well, 10 minutes went by, open it up, gushing out. All right, it's going to take a little longer. 2 hours later, it was still gushing out of my nose. I didn't even have a clothespin to keep it closed, and I was beginning to get concerned. And one thing that I knew was this nose spray called Afrin, and there's some generic versions of it, have an active ingredient that is a vasoconstrictor that most of the time, unless it's super serious, it'll stop a nosebleed. I didn't have any Afrin. And I'm in Truth or Consequences, New Mexico, and the closest place that would be open was like 80 miles away. And I can't see myself bleeding and driving for 80 miles. Although, in retrospect, I could have. I could have held my nose, brought up paper towels with me, and driven that distance. But I was tempted by a 4.5 mile away, there's an ER. So I'll go to the ER. Well, if you have really good insurance, that's a no-brainer, right? But I didn't have really good insurance. I got a high deductible insurance. So I knew that whatever the bill was going to be, I'm going to have to pay it. And so I went into the hospital, middle of the night. Of course, they had to wake up the doctor. Very, very slow. I was the only patient there. And he examined me, and he came in with a thing of Afrin, sniff, sniff. 10 minutes later, the bleeding stopped. And he said, he handed me the bottle. He said, you can keep the rest of this. I said, oh, I hope so, because this is probably going to be the most expensive bottle of nasal spray I've ever had in my life. And brother, was I right. It was $1,051 was the bill I just paid this morning. When you click through the text message and it takes you to a place to verify your identity, and they present you with the bill. And I paid the bill. $1,000 piece. And now at this point, I think I have like 5 bottles of Afrin in my frig. I have a separate thing that's stop a nosebleed thing. I've got all sort of. If you ever have a nosebleed and you're near me, come to my place. I'll fix you up. I've got all the stuff you could possibly want. Plus, they let me keep the little. It's not a clothespin, but it's a clamp you put on your nose, and it arrests the bleeding. I got a couple of those, I think. So a couple plastic nose clips, and and I thought about it too. If I went through my junk drawer, I could have found like little. I had a whole bunch of little tiny clips like for closing plastic bags. I could have saved myself $1,000. So I don't really know where my head was at to do that, but my slate's clean now. I paid my bill. The hospital's paid. The doctor's paid. And let me turn this around so you can see. And here we are in Tyson Wells. Look how busy it is. I'm looking over to the left and I'm seeing Mean Maggie's Gourmet Grilled Cheese. This guy is thinking somebody's going to move their car and I'm going to get a parking space right on Kuhn Street. Well, maybe. So I mention it every time I go by. I can't help myself. The yellow on the right there is K&K Kitchen Supply. I love kitchen stuff, and it's an array of useful kitchen gadgets and supplies. I really like that place. Now, if I were coming here today, I would have a parking space, it looks like, right there. Look at the giant parking space right there. I could have parked right there by my kitchen supply place, but believe me, somebody will grab that spot soon enough. You know what? I noticed this the other day. I've never noticed this in years past. There's a driveway here that says RV show this way, and I've never been down there. So we're going to go down there today and see if that's, I wonder if it's paid parking or something. There's on the left, you can't see it, but there's a ambulance that someone has converted into an RV, which I think is a great idea. And that part's closed to the public. And this doesn't look like a convenient place to be driving, so we're going to turn around and go back the other way. Looks like a lot of people taking care of business, getting ready for the show. We don't need to impede them. Oh, we're going to see this ambulance. Bob Wells with Cheap RV Living lives in a converted ambulance. As an EMS chief for many years, and part of my job was designing and buying ambulances. Not that I designed them, people that worked for me did it, and I found like places in the budget to pay for them and make arrangements and get it approved. But I was always amazed by the high quality of the box. That's what they call the the way it works when you build an ambulance, and even with a major ambulance company, you buy the chassis. You buy a chassis direct from Ford or Chevy or whatever, and you have them ship that chassis to the ambulance manufacturer, who puts the box on the chassis. And if you think about the quality that's required for that, ambulance is a life-saving device. I had an old boss that when I volunteered for the Austin Police Department, he said it's like they're little mobile ERs, and there's some truth to that, because there's some pretty impressive things paramedics can do in the field. A lot of the things that you think of are primarily the domain of an emergency room. Well, a lot of these things can be done in the back of that ambulance. So the back of the ambulance has to be secure. It has to be well insulated from heat or extreme heat or extreme cold. It has to be durable, especially in areas like I was an EMS chief up in Bonner County, Idaho, and most of it wasn't classified as rural. It was classified as wilderness, which is a step beyond rural. So they were all four-wheel drive, and they went crazy places. Really beefed up suspensions and, sort of storage space built into it that's real sturdy and reliable. So it makes sense that they would make great RVs. And generally you get them either at auction or like municipalities will sell them outright sometimes when they retire them and get new ones. And a lot of times, they're not replacing an ambulance because there's no life left in it. They do it because they have a replacement schedule and a budget. And the budget says this year you're going to replace 2 ambulances. Well, you might, even if you don't have 2 ambulances that really need to be replaced, unless you can spend that money on something else, you will lose that money probably next year. in your budget. So it's one of the reasons government spending is so out of control, is if you get a budget, you're going to spend it because you don't want to lose the money. I know, ask me how I know this, because I did it. Okay, I'm back to me, because the trip down to La Posa isn't all that interesting. Not that I'm all that interesting, but what the heck. If you're going to ride co-pilot with me and Dottie, you might as well see us. Or at least you can see me. I don't think you can see Dottie. Dottie is... Get past this intersection here. She's sleeping. She's sleeping. Her eyes are shut. She's siesta time. But she's going to be pretty excited when we get back to camp, because I've been pretty busy this morning and I haven't been able... I took her for a walk, but I took her for a walk, but I haven't been able to let her just sit outside in the sun like she loves. But we're going to do that today. We're going to let her sit outside on her bed. She really likes that. We're having a potluck tonight. No, it's not. The potluck is Saturday. I think someone's making chili tonight. Pearl is making chili tonight, and the instructions were just bring a bowl and a spoon, a bowl and a fork, or whatever. So that's Bob and Pearl of Next Exit, and I think tomorrow's Friday, but Saturday morning they're making egg McMuffin breakfast, and then we have a big potluck on Saturday night. And I bet most people are going to take a run into town Saturday afternoon to experience the grand opening of the RV show. That's my bet. And we are passing the entrance here to La Posa South on the left, and La Posa Tyson Wash on the right. You know, if you wanted solitude, I'm going to suggest Tyson Wash. There's lots of open space there in Tyson Wash. La Posa South, it's looking pretty packed. I think you might have to put a little bit of an effort into finding wide open spaces in La Posa South versus West. Little bump, Dottie. Little bump. She's awake now. Aren't you, Dot? So the subscriber who saw me in the dollar store, he approached me again outside and wanted to take a couple pictures of me, and then wanted to take a picture of Dottie. He was very excited, which is really nice. Guy from Canada, camping in his little tiny car, I think it was a Mazda, a small car, but it was cute. And he said, "I got everything in here you could possibly need." And I believe him. It's really remarkable how simply human beings can live and still find joy in their life. It's I remember Bob giving a keynote speech last year or the year before, I can't remember which, but talking about the concept of affluence, where affluence is defined as having more resources than what you need. You're affluent. We think of that as being rich, more money than you need, but that's not necessarily true at all. There's two ways to be affluent. You can get more resources, or, wait for this, drum roll, you can need or want less resources. So Cheryl is still out in front of her rig there with Clover, which tells me the temperature must be nice and toasty. And according to the truck, it's 75. If she's sitting out there, it's nice. She's eating something because Clover's got her nose right in her lap. What are you eating there, Mom? All right, guys, we are back from the trip to town. So I just said I was back to camp, and guess what? I'm leaving again because I forgot two pretty important things. One, I never did stop at La Posa West to dump the garbage. And two, I didn't go to pick up a package. And the package I need to pick up is important for someone else, so I need to go. Clover, what the hell? I gotta go back to town. I forgot to dump garbage and I forgot to pick up packages.
Oh, no. Bummer.
So that was Cheryl and Clover. They're like, look at me, you just got here. Where are you going? Well, one package I'm getting today is something I promised to someone, and I don't like breaking my promises, and I need I was going to say, I don't like breaking my promises, and it's not that big a deal to go back into town. It's just going to make my afternoon a little longer. What I hoped to do was replace that circuit board in my heater, in my hot water heater, and I bought a new Victron component that is very easy to install. I just need to take 10 minutes to install it. So still, hopefully I can get those two things done, and also upload this video for y'all so you can see it tomorrow. Because we already released a couple videos today. All right, we're back on 95, heading back to Quartzsite. And I forgot what I was talking about. Dottie, do you remember what I was talking about? Dottie doesn't seem to care what I was talking about. Oh, the things I wanted to get done this afternoon. And that little, you guys have noticed in a few of my videos, I have what they call a flying selfie stick. It's a little device that looks like a drone. It's not really a drone, but it flies at kind of eye level, and it, trails around a few feet behind you, and has a little camera mounted on there, and it's really, really cool. And the sound on it stopped working. I tried all kinds of things on it. It was still taking beautiful pictures, but the sound, there was no sound. So I wrote an email to the support team for the company. Hopefully they'll send me a new one. think they're probably going to make me jump through a bunch of hoops first, which is fine. That's understandable. You just can't go sending out new product to anybody that has a problem. You want to make sure it's not user error. I understand that. But I'm going to be without that little thing for quite a while probably, and I really enjoyed it while it was working. I guess I could still use it and do voiceovers, and I could also do it where I could record on, this thing that I told you about. This thing will record independently and create a file, and I could match the files and sync them up. But that's a lot of work. That's some effort to bring everything into a software program, an editing software program, and sync up the audio to the video. I know how to do it. I've done it, but it's pretty time consuming. It's pretty cool when this thing was doing it on its own. And one thing this one won't do that the device I have will do, it takes out the noise of the little propellers, which I can't do. So anyway, I'm a little disappointed with that. And we are here to dump. Well, not to dump, but to use the trash bin. So you're wondering, well, why don't you use the trash bin where you live in La Boza South? Well, because I have to drive out a mile from camp and then a mile back to leave. And here, it's really close to the entrance, so I don't have to drive as far as when I'm headed into town here. It's just a quick stop over here up on the right. Well, when I went by before, I said it was pretty sparse. Now that I'm in here, it doesn't look very sparse. It looks pretty damn busy. And here we go. We have one dumpster here, because it's a lot smaller. The lady with the greyhound. Right back. Hang on. Okay, I am back. And we'll head lickety-split over to Moon Mountain Mail and pick up the package. And we'll head back to camp for good this time. Pretty busy here. Looks like 5 or 6 rigs. There's a line of people to get permits. It's pretty busy. Just a day and a half or so before the big tent show. I can't wait to take you to the big tent show. Dottie will not be attending. It's just too noisy and too crowded and unpredictable dogs, because you're allowed to bring your dogs in the tent, but it's just too chaotic. This guy's gonna go. Yeah, it's busy in Quartzsite. Making left, it's hard to make a left turn. It means it's busy. So I'm thinking, I'm hoping the problem with that device I've been talking about is maybe it's a firmware problem, a problem with the last firmware update. But I doubt it because it like worked and since I gotten the software update, and then it worked once and then didn't work and then worked once and then it's not working at all, which makes it feel like a hardware failure, not a firmware or software failure. My friend Deborah Dickinson, who's authored, I think she's up to 12 books, nomad related, is selling her books at the Cellorama down at Tyson Wells. And, all those aisles where the tents are marked alphabetically, and she's in J, and her spot is J22. And right next to her, and I'm guessing it's J21, is our friend Joan, who does these just remarkable paintings of rocks. It's like, what are you talking about, Rob? Go see it. You'll be amazed. I bought a couple from her that I have in the trailer. But they're right next to each other. So you're in this week and you're at Cellorama, check that out. It's interesting how the transitions between things in Tyson Wells happens, and the different events, it all, to the untrained eye, it all kind of looks the same. But the big tent and the Cellorama happen at the same time, but they're different things, and it's interesting. There are some vendors in Tyson Wells that are especially those lining Kuhn Street, the main drag there, are not part of any particular event. They're there for the whole season. So lots of different types of things going on. I'm not sure I fully understand. Let's see. This is a closely packed RV park or a sale lot. It's a sale lot. People live there. It's called the RV AZ Corral. And we're passing Solar Bills here, I think. I'm pretty sure they have a big event tomorrow, Friday. I think Victron's going to be here. So if you're hearing this, it's probably Friday. If you're hearing this video on its first day, it's probably going on. Hearing my propane tanks rumbling around back there, so I'm thinking it might be smart to secure them to go back there and check. Back there and check. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, we are on the road again. Back to camp. Well, it's only been about 30 minutes since I was sitting in front of my trailer realizing you forgot to get your mail and you forgot to dump the garbage, Robert. So, in my defense, And never mind, I don't have a defense. Thought I might have one, but I don't. Is there going to be a hole in this traffic here that I could pop through? There is. Whoops. You know what I forgot to do, and that's terrible, is I have an extra milk crate that I use to transport the propane tanks, and only one of them back there they're sitting in a crate, the other one's on its side, and I can hear it kind of rolling back and forth. And what you don't, here's what not to do is have any propane loose in your back, because it can roll around and you can, it's somewhat guarded, but you can still pop that stem off, and all the propane can escape, and God forbid if you had an accident, and there could be an explosion. It's dangerous stuff. So I promise you I will not make that mistake again. Empty milk crate is just sitting back there. I am going to set a good example, and as soon as I can pull over, I'm going to pull over, go back there, put that second tank in the milk crate, and set a good example for safety. I don't think it's a good example for me to say, well, I'm just going to drive into camp and I'll drive carefully. Well, I can drive as careful as I want, but someone not driving carefully can have an accident with me, and loose propane thing, no bueno. So we will pull over just on the other side of this intersection where that RV sales place is, and we will secure the tank and buy a Class A RV. What do you say? Take care of business. Here's a Chinese restaurant here. How's that? Never eaten there. Never eaten in that Chinese restaurant. We'll pull into a parking space so I don't block anybody or upset anybody. All right, business is taken care of. I did not have that crate. I don't know where that extra crate is. I gotta look around, but it wasn't back there. There's nothing that secured it to. So I did the next best thing, which is it's not a great idea, but it's safer than what I was doing. I put the loose tank in the back seat here in back of me. But when it's ever possible, when you're transporting propane, you should not have it in the same compartment that people are in. But that's what we're going to have to do now. But next time, I will make sure I have a crate for every single propane tank that I take in to be refilled. Dusty. I think that those side-by-sides you saw, they don't go on the highway here because you have to be registered to drive on the highway. So I think those are probably ones that aren't registered. There's a fire department vehicle leaving La Posa North. A rescue. Oh, I see lights down there, an ambulance. Something's going on down there. But you know, with the sheer number of people, I'm sure they're out to these areas multiple times a day, every day this time of year. You know, as you get older, you concern yourself with catastrophic things that can happen. Not just accidents, but things like heart attacks and stroke, where you need to be evacuated to a appropriate medical facility, maybe hours away, and in that case, if it's critical enough, they transport you by helicopter, medical helicopter. And I just recently signed up for insurance for that, because quite often your health insurance will not pay for that helicopter transport. It can be $10, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 depending on how far you're going and what the circumstances are. It could be an astronomical amount of money, but for about $79, you can be assured that you're not going to get that bill should it happen. Now, there are a couple of caveats to that, and when they sell you the policy, they tell you that the helicopter must be in network, and you can do a search for the area that you're in and whether or not the local service is in their network. So that's what I did. I checked Pahrump, and I checked Quartzsite, and they were in network. So how can they do it that cheaply? Well, they can do it that cheaply because it's so infrequent that people get, I mean, it's very rare that people go to the hospital by helicopter. The big misunderstanding that many people have is that they think because, excuse me for yawning, because you have this insurance, you can say, I want you to call a helicopter. Well, that's not the way it works. The patient doesn't make that decision. It varies by jurisdiction, but certainly the medical personnel on scene either can make the call themselves, or they can work with what they call their medical control, or the doctor they radio or call into for emergency situations can make a decision that this situation is critical enough for air medical service. So it's the providers that are making that decision. So don't think that you can buy this insurance and have a broken ankle and beckon a helicopter to come get you. That's not how it works. But should you have something critical, a helicopter can get you the definitive care very quickly. And it's nice not to have to worry about an enormous bill that you would likely be stuck with should you require that kind of service and it not be covered by insurance. And we have pretty much made it back to camp. I still can't get over as I walk in here and I gaze out to my right here. You can't see it, but to my right here where my rig is. It is an absolute sea of RVs, and I'm used to it just being one or two. So I guess I'll be making similar statements like that for the next couple of weeks, so you might as well grow accustomed to it. And we're back, and Cheryl is still sitting outside with their little puppy dog, Clover. And I think we've turned about a 35-minute video into probably an hour video. So we'll go. Some of it will end up on the cutting room floor. And we are back to the Winnebago Micro Mini. This time, it really is the end of the video, and I will see you on the next video. Thanks for joining me, and thank you for your time.